G'day guys, Roderick here from Fishtec Solutions. I've just completed a fairly arduous weekend tournament at Awoonga Dam, the Barra Bass Tastic. I was fortunate enough to have fished all 3 days, or probably 2.5 days and 3 nights, and I come away with a win. I got the most barra, which was 26 barra for the weekend. I think it was 16.7 meters or something similar to that. I also tied first for the largest 5 fish, which is 4.5 meters, and then also tied first for the biggest barra, which was 93 centimeters. So a pretty good weekend. I just thought I'd give you a quick rundown of the tackle that I used for the weekend. I'll start with the rods because it really was a standard 1-2 punch. We made a decision to target bigger fish at night on your standard main lake points. So fairly patient fishing, making a lot of casts, a lot of presentations with the biggest lures we could possibly throw. So I picked a couple of longer, stiffer rods for that. And then as our secondary go-to for the numbers of the smaller fish, we target, a lot of the trees. So basically just bashing trees with hard bodies. So a slightly shorter rod, similar weight ratings or poundage ratings, but a slightly shorter rod just make it easier. So the rods we used, firstly, probably my main go-to rod for the weekend was the Edge First Strike. I'll split that around so you can hopefully get to see the inscription. It's the Edge 767 First Strike. It's a swimbait rod. It's 7'6", and it has a 20 to 65 pound rating. So it's a fairly diverse rating, but 7'6". The rod itself is ultra light, and basically all I had to do was stand on the back casting deck and just roll that rod over, and an easy cast. I ran 35 pound F4 Torre braid on that. The rod has got a moderate action, so it's a bit softer through the middle, so it absorbs a lot of the shock on the bite and when you're fighting the fish. So I didn't really need much more than 34 pound. I ran 60 pound jigging leader on that rod most of the time, and the lures that I threw on that were segmented lures. So a couple of examples of segmented lures. We've got the new BioVex segmented lure. This one is a slow float, a slow sinking lure, so we can wind it over the top of the weed, and a BD shad. And those were sort of the lures for the weekend on the 7'6" rod. The second rod that I used was again another First Strike model. This one is the MBR 705 cast, and I think that's a 20 pound rating. Yep, 14 to 20 pound rating. It's a 7 foot, 20 pound bait caster. This is my go-to plastic rod no matter where I'm fishing. Again, ultra light, ultra sensitive, and the plastics of choice we threw on those was the 7-inch Castaics, like so, and we also threw some hollow bellies around. So those were the 3 plastics. The main real key to getting the bites were, changing your jig heads. So anything from a 3/8 ounce jig head, to a 1 ounce, 28 grams. So we had them rigged with a stinger like so, or just basic standard rig on a jig head with the hook as far back as possible to be able to go through the weed. In the trees, my rod of choice was the Black Widow 666, the SC BCR 666. Again, it's a 20 ounce. A little bit out of focus there. It's a 20 pound bait caster. Can't get it to focus. 20 pound bait caster, 6'6", and on this rod again 34 pound Naga F4 Torre braid. I only ran 50 pound leader on this because I was pretty much wholly and solely fishing hard bodies. And then the key with the hard bodies was lures like the Imikatsu Rip Riser, which are a slow floating lure, so you could fish them around the trees. If you bumped into something, the lure would slowly float and you could start retrieving it again. And also these lures have got a slight rattle in them, so you can hear that it's not a very obtrusive rattle, but enough to gain the fish's attention. So those were the main 3 rods, similar lures, and then the braids and the leader that we used at Awoonga Dam. It's fishing really well. By the sounds of things, there's quite a few of you guys coming up for the next full moon. If you just fish it old style and fish similar lures to what I've spoken about today, you guys should have a pretty good time.